Hey everybody, here's another look at how to play Warband, and I'm going to look at how to build your army using the army lists in the book. So there are 12 armies in Warband, and they each have their own set of pages. They look like this. And we're going to go with the Orcs and Goblins because I've got them out, and they're one of those classic starter armies, mostly because they were one of the two original armies that had figures for. Anyway, so at the top you've got your write-up. So this is the Goblins and the Orcs. I believe they're now just Goblins. And it's got a little write-up of what they're like. You know, they're crude, and there's a queen, and there's a this and then that, and they talk all about that there. That's cool. Then you've got your actual army list with point values, all their stats, all their abilities, all that stuff, which I'll come back to in just a sec. Then you've got some options over here, and for plus or minus points, you can add things, take things away. So like your chieftain can have fierce or shield wall, and those are some special abilities that I'll talk about in a sec. You can have defensive on your bolt shooters for -5 points, which means that they can do a little bit less, in close combat kind of thing. But you're taking 5 points away. So, but generally you're adding points to add special abilities. Then you've got a section on magic spells, and all the armies have a shaman or some kind of magic user. And there's a bunch of spells, and we have found that there are some really good goblin spells, and some armies don't have great spells. So maybe you don't focus so much on the shaman, but it's always good to have a magic user, of course, because there's always at least one spell that's pretty cool. And then you've got unit descriptions, and this just tells you, about what the units are kind of like. So chieftains are generally poor battle tacticians who command their fractious troops with a whip. They are never without their personal guards, shamans, and other hangers-on. Now, sometimes you take that information, and that's how you build your, your little diorama, your little unit. So I read that, and so I put a shaman and some other dudes on my chieftain's base because, well, why not? And I think that looks cool. It's got like this this entourage of beat sticks and dudes. Anyway, let's look quickly at what the army list looks like, and I'll give you a quick rundown of what the stats do, and then when I show you how to play the game, we'll get more into those stats. So you've got your unit name, and some entries will have multiple options. In that, so like mostly the chieftain and the shaman. So the in this case chieftain and shaman, sometimes they're like the boss, sometimes they're the vampire lord or necromancer, depending on the army. But it's your commander and your magic user, and then you've got core units and optional units. So for your commander, they have different ranges of their effectiveness. So they could be like really awesome, and they can be poor. So I think it's exceptional, good, average, and poor. I think that's how it goes. And exceptional is fantastic. You get you roll a d6 and add 2, and that's going to be both your initiative roll and how many command points you get for the turn. And those can be very, very helpful. So having an exceptional commander is way better than having a poor commander, because you're actually not going to be getting too many command points, which you really need. However, the points, you might need those 25 points somewhere else, and hopefully you don't, but you might. And for the magic users, instead of having command points, they have magic points, so they do the same thing. They'll be rolling a d6, and they might add or have no modifier or take away one of those for how many magic points they get. And so if you look at the goblins, for instance, in order to get Surge of Savagery, you would have to at least, you would have to have an exceptional shaman. You couldn't have a good or a poor, or an average or a poor one. For consuming rage, which is 6 magic points, you would have to at least have the average shaman. You couldn't have the poor one. Anyway, other things you've got your MT, which is your motivation, and that's how you get your units to move. So you will roll a couple of dice. I got a couple of dice here. So say I wanted to move my my chieftain. He's 2d6. So I'm going to be rolling 2 dice, and like I said before, you're looking for 4. So, he's not moving anywhere. He's staying still. Now this is when you can use your command points to add dice, and you would just grab more dice, and so, okay, I want him to, oh my gosh, I need him to move. Just Come on, one. There we go. So one success. Now, for each success that you get, which is 4 plus, you can move that many base widths. So in this case, the chieftain can move 1 base width. The shaman can move 1. Archers, warriors, generally units are going to be moving 1 base width for each success. However, the wolf riders, they're going to be moving 2 base widths per success. So they're rolling 2d6. Now, if they happen to roll, and look at that, 2 successes, perfect. They get 2 successes at 2 base widths each success, so that's going to be 4. So they're going to be flying forward, and that's, the faster units are going to be able to do that. There are some units that have three movements. So these giant spiders, they move super fast, but they only have 1 motivation die. So if they nab it, they're moving 3 base widths. If they fail it and you don't spend command points on them, they're not moving anywhere. Okay. Then you've got your shoot. So that's your ability for shooting. If you have a shooting ability, you'll have a number here, and that's how many d6. It's kind of like your motivation. For each success, you get you hit, and then you've got a range. So the archers, these guys here, they've got a shoot of 2d6. So they're going to be running 2d6. And so within range 4, they get 2 hits on whichever target unit they're shooting at. All right. Then you've got your melee, and that's, again, how many dice you're rolling in melee. So archers are only rolling 1d6, but of course the warriors and other units are going to be rolling more. Chieftain 2, but the shaman 1, right? So say we have warriors. Let's grab some warriors. And they're rolling some dice. 1 success, so they get 1 hit. Later on in the phase, they're going to need some protection, and so units have protection values. Now, some units might not have any protection, but generally 1d6 is your basic protection. 2d6 is a little better. So here's a generic warrior, 2 for melee, 2 dice for protection. But if you look at, say, the hill dwarves, no, that's a high elves. Hill dwarves. The warriors have 2d6 melee, but 3d6 protection. So there you go. Cool. Because they're stout dwarfs and they're a little bit more, they're chubby, so it takes less to hurt, or takes more to hurt them. Anyway, then you've got your morale, and this is your. You start off with that number, and every time you take hits, or you take damage that are unprotected hits that you do not roll protection for, this number goes down. When this number goes to 0, they turn and they start fleeing. Now, there is a possibility of the leader to bring them back if he's nearby, but very often, once you start fleeing, you're fleeing. But units fight at full strength up until they hit 0 morale. So, a morale 1 unit is still going to be fighting at 2 dice. Then you've got your points value, and then you've got any special abilities. Now, you'll see when you're making your army, you can have you need 1 commander unit. You can have 0 or 1 magic users. You don't need a shaman or a magic user, but it's always good to have. You need at least 200 points in a 500 point game of core, and then you can have up to 200 points in optional units. Now, that always sucks because you want your trolls and your giants and ogres and your giant spiders and your cave horrors, and you want just tons and tons of those units. But of course, you are limited, and like any game worth its salt, you're not just going to have these cool special guides. You need to have a bunch of core. But depending who you're playing with, if it's a friendly game, I'm sure you can tweak those numbers a little bit. But you're going to see a lot of warriors and archers and wolf riders in this kind of army, and then at least up to 200 points, and then you're going to go as many as you can of these other cool units, because you get things like let's see, what do we have? We have trolls, we have giants and ogres, you've got giant crossbows and bolt throwers. So all very important units and very fun looking, and they've got very cool special abilities. And last thing I'm going to tell you about is, they've got these special abilities. So there's a list for each unit, what they've got. So let's look at powerful. There's a few that have powerful. You can gain powerful with some of your options. Sometimes the spells give you powerful. And, oh, look at that. It's on the right page. So powerful. You inflict a minus 1d6 protection penalty to the protection test of any unit it scores at least 1 hit on. So if a unit is being tag teamed and a 1 unit hits the target with a powerful hit and does at least 1 damage, that target unit is going to be losing 1 of their protection dice, which is really important. Now, it does not stack; it's 1 or more powerful hits. So, but that could be really important, especially for a unit that says, say, has 1d6 protection or 3d6 protection down to 2, and you've done 4 hits. You know, it can only block 2. So that's pretty cool. Powerful is powerful. And then there are, you know, a whole bunch of special abilities that units have. Anyway, that's another quick look at army building and army lists. That's what that looks like. And we're going to look at more of the rules for Warband and how to play Warband. Thanks for watching.